yes, so how do you start with, sensory perception 101, the basic, ground level sort of like child's play, you know, realization is what repels you, what draws you. What draws you to something, what repels you from something, place, person, or thing. Hi, guys. Today on the podcast, we're going to go over all the intricacies, the subtleties from beginning to end of what is necessary for you to channel and get direct source information. The understanding the gradients from matter all the way up to Tao and those frequencies in between that are identifiable in how you think, feel, and express yourself. And you will be able to discern and affirm these things from all the fundamentals that we share with you today. This is a crash course on channeling, and you're going to level up over this podcast. Don't forget to stay to the end of the podcast, and you get a transmission directly from Lao Tzu that you can experience firsthand right here. Enjoy the podcast, guys. How profound the rippling effects, the resonance of divine frequency. Right here, right now. Welcome to the consciousness of the way. My divine delectable co-host, High Priestess Jadis. Welcome, dear friend of the podcast.
Good morning.
And I'm your humble servant and seafood, Taoist Master San Qing. What another incredible day, dear friend.
Amazing day.
It's always good to have dear friends.
Hopefully, you only have one dear friend.
I do have one dear friend. But I just got that hole. Anyway. What another amazing day. And we are on the subject that is always referred to as the question of the week, the question of the month, the epiphany of all epiphanies, the groundbreaking light bulb moment, the aha moment, the poof realization time. All thoughts of your mind are not yours. So we're going to go over channeling. This is another thing that we train people in and offer this type of thing, but I think that it's clear at this point with the evolution of this channel that we will be bringing out specifically these types of things that you can obtain, whether it's in a workshop or something that you do online. But we're just going to be rolling all these things out, and you'll have access to these at will and can use them. Of course, you know, the Way 126 is for everyone the perfect ground zero to start with when it comes to, getting a real handle of where you stand within the, frequencies of consciousness. And because, the first thing you need to do if you're on the road to evolution, awareness, awakening, however you want to perceive it, is you master your emotions, because that's the conflicting, confusing part that is always the starting and ending point for most people. And once you get that underway and mastery of that, then you get into the big stuff, the stuff that makes all the difference, which is manifestation, healing, magic. And all these things can be obtained instantaneously because you are hanging out with us, listening to us, whether it's a podcast, whether you're a 126 or whether you're, doing exercises, the material, all this type of stuff is integrated deep within this, and your neurology matches the resonance of what we're putting out. This is why you feel what you do, and this is why it has such a profound effect instantaneously. And so, channeling 101, absolutely essential and crucial to anyone's journey to get pure source information and ultimately become their barometer, their tuning fork for the universe, and ultimately what's necessary, the secret source to you leveling up in your journey of all things high frequency, all things metaphysical.
And I think that's so important, just like you said, is really getting control and getting a mastery over your emotions, so that when you do start kind of diving into these deeper frequencies, the manifestations, the channeling, you're already primed and ready. Because channeling without being able to master your emotions, like you said, no, all thoughts of your minds are not yours. So it's like, okay, are my emotions giving me my thoughts right now? Where are my messages coming from? Am I, completely offline and incoherent? Am I coherent? It's all getting that baseline and foundation so you can start doing these incredible, amazing, Taoist practices.
Right. And accessing that frequency is very, to most people, logical. It doesn't seem absurd, doesn't seem unreasonable the way that we lay it out. It's just the biggest question of the day is, how do you get there?
Right.
It's kind of like you have a much easier sort of like roadmap if you were just like, I got 50 pounds I got to lose. Let me see. I need to put out more and maintain my muscle tissue and lose body fat. So, you got 1,000 different ways to do that. But again, in this metaphysical world, this is also a conflicting issue. You have 1,000 different methodologies, systems. Now, what's the one that works for you, that resonates for you, that actually bears fruit for you, is the probably the biggest question, right? And so leveling up on that stuff is critical, and how you obtain this high level of awareness.
Yeah.
Right? And so channeling is something that most people steer away from, yet they're doing it all day long. So, well, what does that mean, Sifu? Well, look, you put out a frequency, energy, frequency, vibration. And the fastest way for you to just get a real grasp of that, if you have zero understanding or a sensory perception that you're aware of, is you just walk into a room, you like someone, you don't like someone. How is that helping me? Well, it is, because the magnetism, electric sort of like output, electric magnetic component of all things, there's polarizing effects within a duality where there's opposing forces. Now, when they unite or you're resonating at the same frequency, your magnet draws all that to you. When you're not resonating at that frequency, either you're not high enough or you're too low, you will repel that from your field. So in a real simplistic setting, it just comes down to walking in a room. What is everything else in the room putting out? Whether it's a place, person, or thing, what draws you or repels you, because this is also an operation system that you're using within a duality. Understand that when you start leveling up, all things become one, and you can have, an extrasensory perception that is second to none outside of the fundamentals of duality. And so initially, this is like, what? It sounds sort of stupid. All right, I'm not in the duality anymore. That's conceptual until it's not. So what does that mean? You know what you know. You don't know what you don't know. And so there is some dials that you turn up where you will resonate, where you will be at one with all things. And the old expression, you are the field is you. You are the universe is you. The universe is inside you, and whatever's inside you is represented outside of you, which is, again, another, aspect of what we call mirror magic, and goes down to a deeper layer of understanding of your neurology. This is a bigger thing to contend with. And so everything is conceptual until it isn't. And the only way that shifts from, as Lao Tzu would teach us, concept, consciousness, knowing, unconscious knowing, and then being one with all, is a fundamental shift that is validated only by you, because once again we talk about the truth is only what you believe. Your truth is the only truth you need to be concerned with. Mm-hmm. And so, it's just like, it's a lot of big words, Sifu. You're just throwing it out there. Yes, so how do you start with, sensory perception 101, the basic, ground level sort of like child's play, realization is what repels you, what draws you. Mm-hmm. What draws you to something, what repels you from something, place, person, or thing. Yeah, that's the easiest way to start to validate, to discern things. Now, of course, then the other aspect is you're allowing your emotions to dictate this. So this is why we always go back to, Sifu, this is where you're talking about you become the master, keeper, creator of your reality. Your emotions, they're the lie, they're the misdirection, they're the manipulation. So understand that you handle that business first. Once you handle the emotion part and you understand that that is a lie, that is a filter of your reality, and that is controlling your behavior, those emotions will dictate the ground level sensory perception, which is not skewed correctly. You're not aligned yet. That's okay. It's like we all start somewhere. But if you just allow your emotions to be the indicator, more likely than not, the end result of your story, of your reality, is not going to be what you want it to be. It's going to be very disappointing. All the things that you fear are going to be, you're going to be confronted with them because you are a magnet. And so operating in a duality as a magnet, all the things that you fear the most will become realized instantaneously. Well, that sounds like ridiculous. How come I can do that, but I can't just want all the good stuff to come in? Absolutely, you can want all the good stuff to come in. But again, it comes down to mindset, shifting the gears and understanding that mindset, your mind is setting your level of consciousness. We talked about it yesterday. Base level. Do we remember? Does everyone remember? Mm-hmm. Base level.
What foundation?
Matter, Qi, Shen, Wuji, and then ultimately the Tao, which again comes right back to the 5 gears that Lao Tzu talks about.
Right.
So, whoa, Sifu, I'm having an epiphany. What does that mean? Concept, consciousness, knowing, unconscious knowing, and then being. Is that a mic drop right now? Yeah, let me go back. I'll go over it one more time. Matter, concept, knowing, concept, consciousness. Consciousness is energy, Qi. Mm-hmm. Shen is knowing, right? Wuji is unconscious
Unconscious.
knowing. And then the final and all-time big daddy is the Tao, which is being one with all things. Oh, Sifu, I just had an epiphany. You're welcome. Kind of mind-blowing, really, right? Because we've gone over this many times before. I'm pretty sure Jade might have had a mind blower right there. I'm not sure. She was like, oh, but I've always known this, but I just knew it. It's like we hear everything, time and time again, yet all of a sudden, I have students do this all the time. All of a sudden they're like, I just got that.
Mm-hmm. It clicked.
I just got that. So when you're shifting through these levels of consciousness, shifting through these levels of metaphysical realization, oh yeah.
Yep.
So now let's look at this. The chi, the energy that you put out, and you are a magnet. We've gone over the torus field, the torrid field. What is that? Now, that's the misdirection that we have within Taoism. Torrid means celestial heat. And that's the Freudian slip, as we might put it, as an expression of a much deeper understanding of a psychological dimension. I just use that because it kind of sounds cool. Sigmund Freud. Freud. Again, another Freudian slip. Freudian slip. Is he a fraud? Perhaps, maybe. But in any case, torrid field means celestial heat. Torus, generally speaking, is the emission of this electromagnetic field that is transmitted from the center of your body, being the heart, and it envelops the whole body like a donut. And you can measure that if you look at it from a macro view, and you're able to outline and measure the electromagnetic field from your physical body. It looks exactly like a full circle, which in sacred geometry means infinite. No end, no beginning. Whoa. And then if you look at that torrid field and you see the way it loops in and out, it then is representative of something greater. A microscopic look at an atom, which would then be representative of the yin and yang symbol. Ooh, Sifu, this is freaking me out right now. So, let's get back to you walk in the room and, you just feel this. This is a universal thing. We had this conversation with a guy from Bizarre Junkies, a podcast I was on a week ago, and he's like, I just get a vibe, which is just like this communication, this universal communication, which is you're speaking in energy, but you don't recognize you're speaking in energy. You're just going, I have this vibe that these people I just don't like them. Yes, that's exactly what you're experiencing. Mm-hmm. Booyah.
And I do think that it is very simple when you know how to do it and you break it down, and it's like, how do you pick your favorite music? You listen to the frequency and you find what resonates with you and what gives you that feeling. And most people, I think, listen to music because they want to, feel good or be excited or be creative and it gives you that feeling. So you go, okay, I gravitate towards this music. This makes me feel a certain way. And that's an instant frequency transfer that I think is so easily able to see that resonation, that channeling
from face value.
That channeling can be that simplistic. And for anyone who's like, oh my God, I'll never be able to do that, or channeling is for monks or priests, or, I'm just
You're doing it all day long. If
you're
someone
doing
gets...
it. Yes, exactly. You're doing it all day long and just tuning that frequency so you're, hearing the messages however it translates to you is just a little bit of practice.
Well, again, it's like you're doing it all day long. Understand the fastest way to identify with that is have someone get in your face and tell you to go F your mother and see how you respond to that. Because that's an instant transfer of their deep core seated frequency that is a mirror of what's inside of you. That's why it the old expression triggers you, because you have it inside you. If that was not inside you, it would have zero effect because it's not meeting an equal to or greater than equivalent. This is how it works, right? So even though you can, affirm that it's coming from a verbal interaction, the frequency is still being admitted. Energy, frequency, vibration. So it comes in, this is how it works. It comes in the vehicle of a word that is imprinted. Understand this. Now, how do you imprint a word? Well, good things, my friend. You've come to the right place. We talk about Qigong. This is like one of the most powerful tools. Qigong is moving energy with your breath. So that means that the absolute cultivation of that energy, right, is coming from the center of your torus field, right?
Your heart.
Right? So that energy is coming from the torus field. Now, on a deeper level, there's sacred geometry that meets the center of that torus field that creates the separation from yin and yang. Okay? And then we start to get deeper into the profound geometry and what a triangle means and how powerful that is in the scope of the universe. And what happens when you layer this geometry, you have the Taoist rights. Oh, yeah, that's coming. It should be done this weekend. We'll see how it goes. But you use that geometry and you create this instant effect. Because once again, we return to everything is numbers, letters, words, symbols, deeply integrated into your DNA. And you will have an epiphany when you go through the Taoist rites as the portal that opens to all your training, that this portal gives you a deeper understanding of how the micro-macro view of a DNA strand and what that really is representative in so many aspects of your reality. Right? So, just as we speak right now and I do this and I move my hands around and I kind of breathe a little heavier, you can feel the buildup of that chi within your physical body. And you're like, well, how is that possible? You're welcome. This is part of the frequency that I'm putting out instantaneously. It's kind of like, you do this from, when you look at, when we apply Qigong, like within, a physical interaction with another human being, right? I don't need to have my hands on you to transmit energy and to affect change within your physical body, right? When you're able to, if you're applying this stuff in a martial form, this is where people get lured in by the energy. When you're applying it in a martial form, you look at the excess and deficiency of whatever the flow of that energy of your opponent is, and then you're able to, transmit the energy to amplify or dampen that, the ecosystem, the micro system within their physical body, and that leads you into, your first, what we would call strike within that martial arts sort of like combat, right? And so there are layers. Like most martial artists will train developing layers that are permeated from the physical body. You infuse the cellular tissue, and then you have their second layer, which is, it's like a force field, as if you're talking about Jedi mastery. And then you have a third layer, right? So there's literally three layers before you obtain the gooey stuff inside. And that's why in most cases martial artists will, if they're going up against another martial artist that they are aware that they have any sort of internal practice, they will strike any area at least 3 times to obtain a physical change. Now, this is also framed out with that understanding at a higher level of ascension beyond the duality, because this is sort of like the frameworks of a duality. You can, bypass all of that when you are at one with all, being that highest point, okay? But, just a lot of people that are just hungry for power and they want conflict and combat, they sort of lure themselves to martial arts. That's not my thing. I train people the internal arts for the sole purpose of never putting themselves in that situation. So they gravitate away from that because the power of their manifestation is instantaneous, that they will never, ever be put in a place of conflict because they're not putting out that frequency, energy, and vibration. That's part of the cultivation. But a lot of people tend to want to manipulate that. They want to stay in the weeds, and they feel like, the charge of a little bit of yang energy gives them the power to kind of control people in this martial field. The generation of that energy is then passed through here, okay? And then when you speak, whatever it is you're speaking, and you've tuned your energetics, it's like a fun factory. As though it comes out audibly or inaudibly from this transmission of this physical body, because your consciousness is everything. It literally, imagine a production line. It's like a conveyor belt. It is created within your mindset, depending upon what shift of consciousness you are, and ultimately the way that it translates into something that you're aware of is within the ether, where you can go between 3D to 5D instantaneously, which is the center point, which ultimately, when you're looking at all things, that is really what the fifth element is, which we'll get deeper into that. So the conveyor belt is, you have this great concept, consciousness, idea in your mind. It is then generated, and you speak it or think it, and it becomes infused with the energetics. And as I speak, it's like I am pushing that chi in and out of this space, in and out of your physical body, because of that pulpating effect. And it's a mastery that you get to, and it becomes instantaneous. It's at the unconscious knowing level, being level. When you're one with all things, this is your realization. It's not something I have conflict with. I don't have to think about. This is my reality. All things. And that's why it becomes instantaneous. And it's a mastery. And it can be obtained by anybody. It's just a matter of mastering that. And that's why we always start with the emotion. So then you say it, and it's literally it starts with the thought, the feeling, and the emotion. It's the secret ingredients, right? And then it's infused with that, because everything you do, anything that you're doing, you are like literally, imagine your breath, because we talk about the 0 point energy, it's infused with everything. Your breath is literally, you're painting things. That's how I would call it. It's like as I breathe right now, imagine what's going on is this chi is infusing this mic with my every breath. And then, of course, it's replicated in all realms instantaneously, because we got deeper into a multi-universe, realizing that we're operating in the present moment. We're in the present moment. All things are realized, past, present, future. Bam. But that also comes from you are all things. Mm-hmm. And so that's the part where It sounds so simplistic, Sifu. It is. We just have to get you on a path where you realize that and know that to be true, and that comes from the confirmation as a human, your humanness, that is valid to you with the kinesthetic charge that makes it true to you. And so once you start experiencing these things, manifestations, magic, healing, and they continually roll out, you go, there's something to this. I'm starting to accept this as my reality. Well, I'm so excited for you. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's always fun little things that you can kind of just play. Like we'll play with our kids or stuff. One I like to do with them is just like, I'll ask them like, oh, what time do you think it is? Mm-hmm. Or I'll ask myself, like if I'm just, you could just be by yourself. And if you haven't looked at your phone in a while or your car, you're, somewhere away and you go, okay, what time do I think it is? And you'll get a message, you'll get something and it'll, whatever it is. And then you'll check and go, how close was I? Oh, I was 5 minutes off. I was 10 minutes off. I was 30 minutes off, depending on where you're at. And it's kind of, there is no real investment in it other than just starting to tap into these little energies that you're getting, these messages that you're getting, and start refining them. And that's like a really good, just kind of like base. There's different apps and stuff where you can play with that stuff too. Like which color, there's 4 colors and you pick a color. And but it is exciting to just know that you're getting messages all the time and to be able to just tap into them. And it's like nothing is ever wrong. Whatever you're getting is at that moment, and realizing that, so that you just keep refining it and it'll just get stronger and more clear and more aware for you.
Right. And that's that message that we talk about. And the frequency. So you infuse the thought, feeling, and emotion, and then it comes out and equalizes, equal to or greater than, within the field, which is the present moment. That's the ether, right? Being able to dip between material and metaphysical all at once, the present moment. So that becomes realized. So you have an event, a place, person, or thing. You're transmitting that, whether you're highly aware. It's just like, I have a good day or a bad day. And it depends on me. Whatever is going on within my ecosystem is then translated externally into my reality. It sounds like I'm already mastering it. Yes, you are. Now you have to be able to confirm that consciously, 100%, and not just randomly be conflicted with, information coming in that, can be good one day and not the next, depending upon what you're doing, right? And that's the mastery of the emotions. That gets back to the way 126. A visual audible experience creating a kinesthetic charge that validates that. It evokes a brainwave. It's realized for you. The first confirmation is the physiology, how profoundly melted you are. The feeling that you've had 5 pina coladas, 5 days in the Bahamas, and a full body massage. This is a validation. This is what the way 126 does. That's why it's so powerful. It's your baseline. It's where you start to level up, and you master your emotions instantly, and then you get on with it. And of course, we have, that's the first one. You walk away from that, you tune your neurology. It's yours forever. Then, of course, you can level up into other degrees of that, because we have over 2 years worth of training that will make you superhuman, beyond superhuman. You don't feel superhuman within the first session. And know that when you measure yourself, you can measure on a daily basis. You don't have to wait, I need to train in this for weeks and weeks. No, that's not how the universe works. The universe is instantaneous. So that means that we can measure your neurology instantaneously, what you have gained from the first session that you do, and you'll realize that you instantly have an access point and it becomes palpable instantaneously. We give you a test to validate what you've acquired within that session, and you can measure on a day-to-day basis, knowing that you're acquiring these skills every second. Everything we do has a purpose, place, and an absolute reason for it. Nothing goes to waste. That's part of what Taoism is all about. And quite frankly, I think it's more an Eastern culture thing. Everything has a place and purpose. Nothing is just for nothing. Everything is for a specific purpose. And so, you're starting to use these sensory perceptions. So that's a basic one. It's like you get in the room, I like this person, I don't like this person, I can't understand it. You're getting a great insight instantaneously. Just as Jade said, start, taking examples of that. You start to measure it. We're going to show you specific things that you can do as we're training people for this healing thing, his system, Taoist rights. Part of it, there's specific training segments that level up your sensory perception, and where you can really sort of like start to do things where people are freaking out because you can read their mind, and it's only because you're able to see the energy, feel the energy, know the energy. And so channeling, again, we go back to this, is really, you're a filter. It's happening all day, every day, regardless of, oh, no, I'm not doing that. Sure you're not. Have someone tell you to go F yourself and see whether you're channeling or not, because that's the first indicator. That's the first one. Or you feel a certain thing, you have a sense, you're in a place, you're in front of a person, or you're holding a thing. These three elements are critical because you will get information all day, every day. And that comes in a thought, feeling, and an emotion. It's interesting how all things are in threes. Mm-hmm. It's kind of bizarre, that, isn't it? It's kind of weird. Not. So this channeling aspect, then you start to level up. That's why it's always good to go, okay, this is my emotions. I've mastered that. Go over there, sit, play dead, and then you can be really clear on what's coming through, and you're not having this sort of meltdown of like, did I really hear this? Am I feeling this? Am I making this stuff up in my mind? No. All of the above, no. You are feeling it. You are sensing it. You are acquiring information. And as you refine it, the lens becomes clearer and clearer, and you will get clear audio, clear vision, clear sense that's beyond anything that was handed to you as a baseline, being your five senses. Five senses. Five elements. 5 degrees of consciousness. Mm-hmm. 5 levels of 0 to all-knowing. It's interesting. 5. What is that? What is that? Ouch, mate. Ouch. Anyway, that's another joke for another channel. This guy's a bit of a Australian prankster. I just did a little Australianism there. So you do this whole you have this whole realization. It's like, wow, okay. And so you start your channeling. What's the fastest way? If anyone's listening to this and they're like, wow, I want to go further, or, oh, I'm going to stop and just pretend this is not happening. You can pretend anything you want. It's happening all day long. And so it's either you start getting your stuff straight. The best recommendation, in my opinion, is to fast track yourself beyond the duality. Discern, affirm the difference between your personality and your divine source, pure source information, and get down to business rather than letting it dictate to you. And then it goes down the route, down the rabbit hole from highest to lowest, because then it transmutes into a physical ailment, and then all of a sudden you're having to contend with having to heal your frequency, remove the energy, frequency, vibration from something that doesn't have to be that way. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And I think a really easy way to discern from your higher self or your personality self is your higher self is always going to be limitless. Your personality self is always going to be limited.
Right.
In the, so you can ask yourself, am I getting this message based off of, all the fears that I have? Am I getting this message based off of, the feeling of wholeness and ultimate being and, you know, gratitude or acceptance? And I think, that is a easy concept until it gets pushed into a consciousness.
And so, our main goal is to make sure you get direct source information. So you go through the way 126, master your emotions. Then you go, hey, I want to keep leveling up. Continue on the way 126. It's a plethora of information that will level you up, opening up more of your energy centers, taking you higher and higher and higher. And then, of course, Taoist rites that we're putting out in a minute here is all about just being a healer, healing yourself, healing others, all that kind of stuff. And it's all just sort of moving these parts together. We just take the ancient practices that have been around tens of thousands of years within Taoism, fundamentals, Nigong, Qigong, a deeper understanding of quantum physics, epigenetics, and 11 herbs and spices that are proprietary to the whole experience, that are integrated within the images, the numbers, the words, the colors, all infused, because this is the groundwork of how you operate within this whole ether. That's the secret source of all things, the foundational. And it's deeper than your DNA. And so you're going from a micro view to a macro view. And so that's why things will always gravitate to you, or they will repel you. And that's where the energy component comes into it. And so, discerning, affirming is key. And channeling is key. So, you if you speak it and you say, hey, look, I want to start channeling, I promise you, it's going to come faster. And we create the tools to really give you a deeper understanding. Like, if anyone's seen my transmission from Lao Tzu, it's like you if you can't see it, you will visually see my physical appearance transform, and you will feel a presence second to none, kind of like this right now, a little bit, where you're like, holy crap, what is going on? I'm feeling heat, I'm feeling cold, I'm feeling this expansive energy, and it's like putting me in this sort of space where I can't really look at the screen, I can't look at Sifu because it's so powerful. Well, that is Lao Tzu. And he is just transmitting through me as a catalyst, a conduit, and then he's giving the information through my spoken word. That's it, So, if anyone's watched one, you'll be like, oh, well, this is kind of crazy. And we have several on our channel. Go and check them out. We put out one every week or two. Lao Tzu wants to answer questions. He wants to go deeper. I'm going to go into other ones. Like, again, I had Bruce Lee recently in the last couple of months. I'm going to do Dolores Cannon. She's like blowing me up. It just never ends. Got to love her. Tao, bless her heart. She's quite a character. And then we have Thoth that keeps banging on my door. And this one is an interesting one. He's got some interesting messages for quite a few people. But he's a little bit more
intense.
Let's use the word intense. And his message is very clear. He ain't playing. So, and that kind of just continues to be reiterated. And they all have their own energy, frequency, vibration, their own personalities. And depending upon where they're at, how they're being transmitted, they are another fragment of the fractal pattern that is this universe. They are another facet of the diamond that is this universe. You're just looking at a different end. It's another point of consciousness, and we are all consciousness.
And what would you say to people who maybe are a little advanced, where they're getting their own information, or like if they ask a question, they're getting that, versus like channeling like that's their channel versus channeling like spirits, energies, entities,
Well, you see,
guides, guardians,
right,
however
right.
you want to. Because there's, there's that baseline of like getting, your own information right away. And then kind of this almost leap and jump to where you're channeling like completely different spirits and other higher frequencies.
Right. And so it's a progression. It can be instantaneous. You can listen to what I'm saying, and you can wake up tomorrow and be as tuned as I am, that I've acquired over quite some time. Well, I've got to be very, very clear to the audience. I acquired this as a reignition of what I've known for many lifetimes. So all I did was reunited, and it feels so good. All I did was become aware of my eternal immortal self in this lifetime. It was at a certain point. So the second I started channeling, I was channeling as if I'd been channeling a million years, which a lot of the people that were around me had this moment where they're like, I want whatever he's having. You know, that, you know, when Harry Met Sally moment where she's like, doing her thing, and there's a woman sitting next to her, and she goes, I want whatever she's having. It was one of those epiphany moments, and that's where you get caught up in the limitation of your humanness, and then envy, frustration, jealousy. It all sort of seeps in, and I'm not focusing on what's my creation, my manifestation. I'm focusing on someone else, and with that, instead of turning it into an epiphany. Now, if you understand how to now level up as we're teaching you, you could take being exposed to a moment like the one I had when I first started 30 years ago, and you could literally replicate that, because that's the whole point of the neurology. Instead of going, I want what he has, realizing you already have that, you can mimic and evoke your neurology to replicate that very expansive moment and bring in what is necessary for you. But most people as humans are conflicted with their emotions. This is why we always talk about baseline. You must realize that your emotions don't control you, you control your emotions. And so when that happens, you can be doing When Harry Met Sally all day, every day. And so I had that realization. It was instantaneous for me. It can be instantaneous for you. We just have all these systems and methods that our teachers have given us that are tens of thousands of years old that will guarantee that you will have the Taoist Master San Qing epiphany moment. It may take you a moment or two, or it may be instantaneous. It may be one time and you're done. But it'll always stay in that place of accept and allow everything at face value, and it will be realized. That's why we keep reiterating these things. So understand that, know that to be true. And so, yes, the channeling instantly was apparent, and it was not, a lot of people when they start getting into channeling, they're sort of struggling because there's this surge of energy, frequency, vibration that drops into their physical body. And it's apparent, it's physically, visually apparent that something is going on inside this person. They start to move in there's a pattern that your physical body is starting to move in, which is the transmission of that energy, right? So you will feel it, right? And if you really surrender to accepting that you are channeling, your body will start moving in a certain direction, right? And I'm always in tune with Lao Tzu. I'm always in tune with my teachers. Just right now, just being attuned to it, this is sort of like the frequency that I am moving in right now. That's it. And then if I go in a little bit more, this is what's going through my physical body as we speak. And you can feel that juice as it comes off. And so that's just me being a little bit more attuned to the information. And what happens is it has this buildup. It's like this seed of energy that drops deep within the core of your physical body. You feel it through your heart into your lower dantian, your gut. And it's this pooling energy that you literally seeps through you, it bleeds through your physical tissue. And then you have this sort of frequency that's coming through. And it depends on where it is and what it is. Now, when I teach people how to channel, you will have one person and that chill that you're getting through your whole body right now as you're watching me going, this is kind of weird, Sifu. This is just the energy. Now I can just let it go, or I can tune into it. Whoa. And so you are a projector. You are a radio. Understand that. All right. I appreciate it. Thank you, Lao Tzu. Holy moly. Whoa. And so you're tuning to this. And as you become more refined, we give you the tools to become more refined. We give you the tools to have the information second to none. First, source information is the only information you should be accessing. So when I did this, it was instantaneous. And my sensory perception went through the roof. I get clear audio, clear visual. And it's like I hear any teacher or spirit speak to me audibly, and I see them visually as if I see Jade. And that's just part of, you know what it comes down to? You're limited by nothing when it comes to your sensory perception. What does that mean? It means that your imagination is the seed of your creation of all things. Mm-hmm. So it's just the way I've created or been given my imagination as a reincarnation of who I am as an eternal immortal, and I've been able to discern everything else and affirm that the seed is the imagination. That is the vision, the visionary. We've spoken on that. If you want to really master your, oh yeah, that you like that one, yeah, oh, you're welcome, surging right there. You want to be a master. You look at everyone's the top 1%er in this world right now. They are able to visualize. And so I say this, and I know this to be true, having done this over 30 years. You are limited by nothing. Your sensory perception is limited by nothing, only your imagination. Mm-hmm. And so because, so many people are lured to, Marvel, superheroes. That's because, guess what? It's deep within inside you, and your ability to obtain these sort of like superhuman abilities, sensory perception, is truly limited by your imagination. And you'll start to validate that through your experience. So then I got the visual, I got the audible, and, I, at will, can tap into any spirit, energy, frequency, vibration whenever I want to. And then they also come knocking on my door going, hey, what's up? You're clearly open for business, and I need to get my message out. And that's the other thing. It's like, okay, right. This is where I get all these people coming in. And if I think about them, they go, oh, you thought about me. Hello, I'm over here. And it's like, that's the part where you must understand. Things become a thought, feeling, and emotion materialized, right? And when you realize that all thoughts of your mind are not yours. When I did the Bruce Lee thing, I found it quite interesting because I had so many people inundate me with messages going, it's so funny you say that. All around the same time, I was having this idea, I need to make videos. I need to be thinking about, I don't know why. I was just thinking about Bruce Lee because it was the 50th anniversary of his death, and he was going knocking on everyone's door going, I need to get my message out. Now, I happen to be that one guy that was able to relate a message. I'm sure there were plenty of other people that could relate the message, but they weren't getting it at that high frequency where it was very clear that it was him talking to them. It would have transmuted into, I just have the feeling I want to watch Game of Death. Or, I don't know, I want to look at a book with Bruce Lee. And so it was where their sensory perception was at that moment that they got whatever message was possible. But so many people were like, oh my goodness, I was thinking about him, and it makes so much sense. He puts it out into the universe. Let's do it again. He's part of the facet of consciousness, that shiver that you're getting up your spine right now. Mm-hmm. So when he goes in, he just puts it out there. Something will meet equal to or greater than. Yeah. And once that happens, it's Taoist Master San Qing who gets all the stragglers knocking on the door going, I need to get my message out. That's okay.
Yeah, and it's you very much think about it like a frequency thing. So the message is going out there, and some people turn their radio on and they can hear the frequency. They hear it. That's how where their frequency is tuned. And some people turn the TV on and they can see it. And it's this visual. And then some people are tuned into this frequency where they're there. Like it's in front of them. It's live. They're smelling it, tasting it, feeling it, breathing it in. It's all encapsulating. And all the message is still there. It's just, on a radio frequency, on a TV frequency, on a live frequency or a live event. You're just getting it at different transmissions, and different people are at different places.
Right. And that's why Taoist mastery of the energy, the 50 trillion cells within your physical body that translate to 0.07 millivolts of energy, electricity, that generated and pulled together become the master keeper creator of your reality, is why we're second to none with that mastery, that internal alchemy. That's what we've been doing for tens of thousands of years. That's what people gravitate to Taoism for, and we integrate it. We are second to none, baby. And so channeling is something that is sort of been seen as taboo in most cases, because Tao forbid that you would have direct source information. We don't know. We don't want you to do that. So you'll find a lot of systems, even within Taoism, like I've sort of broken the seal on that, because a lot of the teachers were removed from that aspect. They didn't want to actually share that with the priests. I sort of jumped over all of them, even to a celestial master. There was a living celestial master representation of that. You realize that, that is the be-all or end-all. And it's kind of like almost like missing components that they sort of leave out of the ancient scripture. And it's like, oh, that would have been nice to know. It was almost like, in the last like 20 years they've been talking about, and don't quote me on this, if I butcher it, I do, but within the Bible there were missing components to the journey of, Jesus. And what they've come to realize is the missing parts of Jesus's journey within the Bible had everything to do with him going and finding ancient like gurus across the world. It wasn't a Taoist guru, but he found Hindu and Egyptian gurus that were teaching him these internal alchemy like powers that gave him the ability to heal people. And so that was a huge component of the Bible that was left out. And more people are starting to go, hey, did you forget something? And this is like a realm of man manipulation. This is what I keep talking to people about. This is what goes over and over again. And, specifically, there were references to this, and it's coming in all different forms, from, the Catholic Church to other things, that they've been holding this back for thousands of years, because someone decided at one point, whoa, we can't have anyone know this stuff. Hell no. This is not going to be. And so now when you get direct source information, you're able to obtain that. And I can promise you right now, Jesus is very clear in telling me quite without question, we'll go into jail. I'll do a Jesus one. Hey, JC's my homie. We've hung many times before whenever I need to work with anyone, and that is present within, he is present within their field. We'll work with that. Now, the representation of him is really your frequency and your perception of your reality. But he's making it very clear that was a huge component that was left out. That he discovered these skills and were taught these skills on how to heal. And, it was like the transmission of the energy from the hands. He was able to replicate that and heal people with touch or just his mind. And that's why so many profound things were referred to within this Bible. And again, I say this Bible because I have never read it. No, I'm not gravitated to it. It's not my thing, not in this life, not in many lifetimes. But it is a book of reflection for many people, and realize that it has been doctored, realize that it has been manipulated, and the information in it is not true to form. And that's coming directly from Jesus. So we'll do a Jesus one. Yeah, hell yeah. Let's do a Jesus. That'll be an interesting one. Where we're, So again, you get the information, and then you're able to. The most important thing is, and this is what happens with most healers, they get caught up in attaching themselves, to it's me.
Yeah, the ego.
And I don't even want to you know, dismiss it like that, but it really is their ego or their personality that wants to harness this stuff, and they want to be the Messiah or Jesus Christ, as I've spelt it out before. And it's like when you realize that you're expending your juice, you're burning this vehicle out. It's like, dude, you got 100 gallons in the tank. You burn your 100-gallon tank out, but then you don't utilize the infinite gallon tank that you have at your disposal if you just tune into a higher frequency. And so many healers, alternative healers, massage therapists, acupuncturists, Chinese medicine doctors, Reiki, Qigong, it just goes on and on and on. Masters, blah, blah, blah. They go and they use their own energy, their genes, their constitution from their physical body, and they burn out. They literally burn out like a fuse to a candle. And that's where they cease to exist. Their physical body just dies. I don't know how else to put it. I mean, you burn the candle out, there's nothing left. And so do not be concerned. When you understand you are me, I am you, what are you afraid of? And that goes for all things. There's no exception. That goes for all things. Right? So realize this information is coming in. Use this information. Understand this information is direct source. Direct source. And you can then start, writing it down. If you're not hearing it audibly, you're getting images, write it down. Start framing something out. But know your limit to your sensory perception is you alone. And so you will have, if you want clear audio, if you want vision the way I have it, where I see these spirits as clear as I see jade in this space, you will have it because your sensory perception is limited by you. And you level up, and that's what we do. We teach people to level up so you can absolutely know the difference. You know where the information is coming from, and it's validated through this tuning fork that is your physical body. This flesh and blood you see before you is the tuning fork.
Yeah. And I think it's so powerful too when you're just on this journey and you're allowing yourself to just shift through it. You get these amazing moments where it's like you reflect back and go, wow, I can't believe a year ago, I could barely get a yes or no, or my perception was so off. And then now look at me. Now look at what I'm able to do. And wow, that situation really used to upset me, but I've been in it 10 times already and I just feel blissed out of my mind. And you'll have these moments where you're not even consciously thinking, okay, I'm leveling up. You'll just have this epiphany and you'll be like, this just happened. And those are the most, I think, kind of profound moments where you kind of just realize all of this is taking place without even that idea that like, I did it. It's like, no, it just is. And that's it. It sticks with you. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. Once you feel it, you can't unfeel it. Once you experience it, you can't unexperience it. And you will start to have these incredible moments. Yeah. Where you're just kind of reflect for a minute and go, look at where I started. Look at where I am now. And I didn't even process my transformation, but I know, I feel it, I am.
Blammo. Mm-hmm. And so, these are the foundational building blocks. So yeah, for me, because it's just second, it's very easy because of my eternal immortal self. I can channel any spirit, energy, or frequency like that. And so that's what the old expression, I need to be mindful of, who I decide to think about, because they just come knocking, going, oh, over here, you mentioned my name. I've got a message. Like, oh, here, oh, dear, 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 dear. And so when you become nearly that finely tuned, that's where you start going in. And, again, people gear these things to their own perception. Mm-hmm. So, you have mediums, psychics, channels that have all different like methods, because they're creating their method from their sensory perception, and their imagination is creating whatever it is that is translated into their messaging. So it's always good to get a baseline, and then you can craft it from yourself. But there is an absolute pathway that you go through to acquire these skills. That's why Taoist mastery is so powerful,
right? Because
we train you in the foundational stuff, so then you can acquire your own unique, bougie, boutique, one of a kind, like information. Yeah. And that's where people get a taste, of what we call a glimpse. They get a glimpse, and then it's gone. And then they can't replicate it. They go looking for it. People are like, well, this is my system. This is how. No, it's not about this is my system. This is how you do it. It's about having to realize that you level up the sensory perception, and then that envelops all things. And then you can start sprinkling on your own stuff. But you have to have that foundational stuff, which all comes down to the energetics, which is matter, qi, shen, wuji, Tao, in that order. And in relation to Lao Tzu, it's concept, consciousness, knowing, unconscious knowing, being.
Right.
Right? And so, you get into this spot where there's this, misdirection, or you get something where someone gets a taste and, oh man, I've got all this stuff I want to share with people, only it's so diluted or diluted to their perception instead of a foundational thing. A lot of people don't get what they're getting. And that's where you get this whole, I want what he's having, but then you go and you attempt to replicate it, and it's not replicable, in the sense that, it can't be accessed by all people, because it's your special little secret sauce. And that's a beautiful thing. But if you want more people to be awakened to their inner power, like Jade and I do, you use ancient Taoist practices that have been sound and battle-tested and proven for tens of thousands of years, that millions and millions of people have used over this lifetime. And that's why the second you engage with our material is so powerful, because why? Because it's been infused with generations before you, generations and generations before you. And it's infused deep into the words, letters, numbers, symbols. And that's why you get a charge from it. So, whoa! Yeah. Because people have been training and cultivating on this stuff. And you're just being handed it to your neck. You're the next. It's like you're doing this triathlon, and you've got the baton, and you run to the next guy, and they hand it over to you, bam, and you're going off to the races. This is what's going on with this stuff. That's why it's like you will feel it. And I think it's fantastic that other people have come to this epiphany, and they create their own sort of structure or viewpoint of how they perceive their reality, and they've got a system and whatever. It just has to be replicable or repeatable, replicated, so that other people can then generate the same frequency. And that's why our stuff is so powerful, because it's backed by tens of thousands of years. Millions of people have done it. That's why the charge is so strong. It's like, whoa. Yeah. And, when you're in the presence of Lao Tzu, you feel it. And so that's what we'll do at the end of this podcast. We'll do an exercise. I'll just bring him into the room, and all I'll do is just transmit his frequency, and you guys can enjoy the high. That's it. I mean, that's, it doesn't get any clearer than that. You'll be like, I don't know what Sifu's doing, but I'm sweating. What's going on here? I can't see anything, but I can feel something, and I am hot as Hades. I don't know why that came out. That was kind of an interesting Hades. Ooh.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it is. I kind of think of it like building a house. We give you the foundation and then we give you the tools. And then once you have the tools, it's really up to your imagination what you want your house to look like. You know, some people want a townhouse, some people want a mansion, some people want a lake house, some people want a cabin. It's all how you want to see it and how you want to imagine it. But once you have that foundation and then you have the tools necessary to build what your imagination wants, it's really endless and limitless and up to you. And that's what makes it so powerful is I'm not giving you my house that I see that works for me, that works for everything in my imagination. I'm just giving you the tools and the foundation so you can go and build yours. And that's where it sticks because and we get such success from the training systems and the techniques and like you said the thousands of years of generational teachings is because it allows you to go and be unlimited with whatever you can imagine. You are the universe. The universe is unlimited. It's limitless. It's infinite. It's endless. And when you tap into that, it's however it looks for you. It's your consciousness.
That's the power. So I think we made it pretty clear today. We went through basic foundations of how you start generating your sensory perception.
Absolutely.
And then, the inner workings of that, where it comes from, how it's created. And, on a deeper level, from, ground zero all the way up to highest level, there's degrees of that and understanding of that. And so you start with the basics.
Mastering your emotions.
Master your emotions. Get that done so you can make that very clear, discerning, affirming, whatever it is that you're experiencing. So it's the message is clear. And the confirmation will be, oh my goodness, I did it once. It's valid. I got it validated through all these other experiences. I validated again. Oh my goodness, I validated again. Oh my goodness. And that just comes from cultivating,
Absolutely.
replicating. So I think we went over a lot.
Yeah.
Anything that you want to leave our audience with, the divine, delectable High Priestess Jade? Any
No.
thoughts, feelings, and emotions?
Yeah, no, I'm excited for the Lao Tzu transfer.
Yeah. And so what I'm going to do is I'm literally going to bring him in for all the people that listen to the podcast on Spotify and they're not seeing it. I'll do a specific sort of like numerology sort of aspect where I'm going to lead into it. So I'm going to have him drop in. Then that will be his presence. And anything that you hear out of my mouth is going to be the presence of Lao Tzu, which you can feel this sort of percolating right now. It's like, whoa, hang on a second. And so then he will just literally take you through a quick respiration. This is why when anyone that's come across our healings or group healings, you can literally come into a room and I remind people, all you got to do is inhale and exhale and it will attune you to the frequency of the room. And people are like, wow, that's freaky, man. How is that possible? Oh, it's very possible. It's very easy. And it happens fast. So I'm going to, get you guys in a comfortable position right now. You can drop a sense off or in, and then we will literally, and I'll just tell you, I'll be like, okay, Lao Tzu is ready. And then he will drop in, and then it will be an expansive moment, okay? So, as you can feel the presence of him already, I will tell you that Lao Tzu is about to enter the room. Okay, Lao Tzu is present. And that's that fine, refined quality that you can feel, that depth and expansion within your physical body. And without any further ado, I'm going to let him conduct the little healing that you're going to have right now. Welcome, my children. I'm going to take you through a very simple exercise that will enlighten you and make you more in tune with the subtleties and frequencies of the universe, as that is you, and you are it. So as you listen to me, I am going to expand the infusing, rippling, oscillating effect of this energy that you are experiencing right now. In 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Expanding. That's right, my child. Let that ripple through the very essence of who you really are. The subtleties, the detail of that expression of energy, frequency, and vibration is being replicated through your physical body. That's why it's so potent. That attunement that you are experiencing from my very words is all encapsulating. That heat that is expanding through your physical body as if warm water is being poured down your back into your stomach. All infused, my child. Let that be expansive. I will ask only one thing of you, just to intune it even at a much deeper level, is you're going to inhale and exhale once. Follow my lead. Inhale, exhale. Hold it. That's right, hold it a little bit longer and release. The attunement, my child. The palpable tangibility of those energies, all within fused in your physical body, is part of the channeling that San Qing is sharing with you right now, as I am a transmutation, as he is a catalyst, a conduit to my very frequency, energy, and vibration, which makes it so profound, and it interconnects with all things, as that is the highest expression of Tao, what you are feeling right now. How powerful. I am so forever grateful that you are sharing yourself with me. Thank you, my children. Leave this impression, this frequency, energy, vibration, as it will ripple through your physical body and replicate. It will stay with you for quite some time. It will be known to you as you enter back into what you perceive as your 3D reality. It will be quite evident how much you have fundamentally changed. With that, I will see you soon, my child. I want to thank you for sharing your time with us today. I am your humble servant and Sifu, Taoist Master San Qing. I will see you on the next one, guys.